year. It is 2024. Susie says I need to stop yelling so much, so I'm going to try to use a normal tone of voice. But wow, what a year we had in 2023, and what a year we are going to have in 2024. We know at minimum, it's going to be a crazy, exciting year. And we got a lot to talk about today regarding what's going on right now and what we can expect in 2024. Thank you all for being here on New Year's Day. What a way to kick off 2024. And I am having technical difficulties as normal. Sorry again. Sorry. And I'm sorry I'm late. I don't know. It seems like I'm late every day, and I know that would bug me to no end. So if you're feeling bugged, you ever have that problem, a friend who says, yes, I'll play tennis with you at 11 o'clock. So you get there at 11 o'clock, and then it gets to be 11:15, 11:30, and your blood starts boiling. So I understand if you're upset with me because I was 5 minutes late today. I apologize. And I'd like to say it would never happen again, but it may happen again. So bear with me. Welcome to the basement dwellers. You guys are the best. Okay. Thank you for being here. Please don't forget to give this a thumbs up. And if you've not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe because we're trying to get to 34,000 subscribers by Valentine's Day. And we'll have a big romantic celebration if we get there. Let's get started right now. The most important person, RJ, somebody asked me a very, very sensitive question. Who's the most important person? You are, not me. It's not Ron's basement. It's your basement. It's not RonTube. It's YouTube. So thank you for being here. Let's dive in, guys, because we do have some very serious things to talk about that will impact the price of silver and gold. That's what you want to know. What's going to happen with precious metals in 2024? And anyone who tries to tell you that they can definitively tell you is lying to you. But what we can do is look at what's going on right now in the world, right? Look at massive geopolitical situations. Look at domestic situations. Look at the fundamental underlying facts that will support much higher silver prices. Did I hear? Who thinks, this is a participatory show, basement dwellers, who thinks that we could see $45 silver this year? I'm going to do it. I know it's a lot of work. You probably maybe have a hangover from New Year's Eve. I hope you had a great New Year's Eve. It's a lot of work to ask you to do this. But if you are one of the people that thinks we could see $45 silver in 2024, type it in the, what's that called? Chat section. Yeah. And thank you in advance for all the super chats. I got a super chat. I did. Hold on a minute. Bear with me. And then we're diving into this pop-up chat. Pop-up. Hold on. Oh, wait. Can you guys see me okay? Okay. Yes, you can. Oh, no. Oh, Lord. Hold on a minute. What did I do? Restore chat. I got rid of you guys for a minute there. Okay. Are we okay here? Is the picture blurry? Do I look blurry to you? Or do you have a hangover? No, I think we look good. Okay, let's get started. Everybody wants to know where the price of silver and gold are heading in 2024. Are they ready to launch? Right? Music to your ears. Music to my ears. The best we can do is look at the big picture, the big factors going on right now. We have big trouble right now and on the horizon. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about banks. I had a conversation with a big bank insider, someone who currently works in the banking sector at a senior level, but also has worked for the large national banks, right? Some of the biggest banks in the country. He's also worked for several of the regional banks and now works for a more local bank. He offered some keen insight into what's going on in the economy and in the banking sector, which you're not going to want to miss. Okay, finally, Our friend Jim Rogers. Do you know Jim Rogers? Yeah, he's famous. Lives in Singapore. Billionaire, multimillionaire. I don't know what he is, but he's world famous as an investor. And he's not a complete doom and gloomer, but he shared some interesting information about what he sees going on right now. And all of this, guys, relates to what we can expect next year, this year, in the silver and gold price. Let's get started right now. I think the biggest thing going on, and we make this mistake, us precious metals investors. We talk about all the like silver, the unbelievable demand picture for silver and how supply is going down. And we talk about gold. Central banks are buying gold. Wow, that's this big headline story, right? But underneath it all, what supports everything, okay, and I heard Mike Oliver say this recently as well, and I think maybe we make a mistake and we don't give enough weight to this factor, is geopolitical tension. That's probably one of the biggest underlying forces that can create much higher precious metals prices, and it's not looking good. Let me just give you an update on what's going on. Iran is what I wrote. Big news, okay? We're being told over and over, and we've been told this now for, decades, that Iran is a big problem. I want you to think about this. Iran today, January 1st, 2024, Iran has joined the BRICS nations. You know the BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. But today, we have BRICS Plus. Yes, we have Iran joining BRICS. We have Saudi Arabia joining BRICS. We have the United Arab Emirates joining BRICS. We have Egypt joining BRICS. And we have Ethiopia, which is probably one of the underestimated countries and expanding economies in the world. But what about Iran? Guys, we've got a powder keg going on right now in the Middle East. And remember, Iran is now allied with the aforementioned countries, which include India, China, and Russia. Okay? Are we about to attack Iran? Are we about to be in an all-out war with Iran? I don't know for sure, but we've got people that are saying that is on the horizon. And just listen to some of this. Realize, Don the Brain pointed this out. We have a fleet of warships, a big fleet of warships in the Middle East right now. We have Iran that just joined the BRICS. I mean, put it all together. Think about what's going on. Here's a headline: Red Sea chaos. A Maersk ship hit by a missile. The U.S. attack helicopters annihilate Houthi rebel boats. Well, the Houthis are supported by the Iranians. The Red Sea is a critical shipping corridor. It's as critical as the Panama Canal, right? And the Panama Canal shut down because of droughts, but that's a whole different story. We've got, on two levels, this is a huge deal, guys, from a potential for a geopolitical conflict, like major world war. Okay, I don't want to use that term, but unfortunately, I think we have to. It's a real issue. And on top of that, like 15% of the world's economy used to go through the Red Sea, and now they're all like scrambling to find ways to get products from Asia to Europe. This is a big deal. Maersk, one of the largest shipping companies in the world, suspended all container ship sailings in the southern Red Sea after Iranian-backed Houthi militants attacked one of their vessels. This comes a day after the shipper reportedly attempted they were going to restart shipping through the Red Sea. Are we heading, and then I have more for you here, which is not good news, but again, as silver and gold investors, we pay attention because we realize we've underestimated the impact of global conflict, how that is such a supportive factor for the metals. Because where do people go when they get scared? They're going to go to the metals. They're not going to the dollar as much as they used to. It's a big, big deal. And we have Iran, who's being accused of supporting the whole situation with in Palestine with Hamas supporting the rebels who are sending rockets into Israel from the north. Everything's Iran, Iran, Iran. We do not want to go to war with Iran. Iran is allied with Russia. This is a big, 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 big deal, okay? The Pickaxe, our friend John Little at the pickaxe.substack.com put out a report this morning saying that there's multiple reports that the United States and the United Kingdom are preparing to declare total war on the Houthis and Yemen. U.S. war, he points out, we would then have war going on in Iran, Iraq, Russia, and now what about China as well with Taiwan? The world is a powder keg. Here, a joint statement is reportedly expected to be made in the coming hours by the U.S., Britain, and maybe France and Germany, announcing that they are in final preparations for a large-scale military operation against the Houthis in Yemen. The attack will include the launch of hundreds of missiles and airstrikes against pre-planned targets in western Yemen and the Red Sea. This is not good. We don't like violence. But we need to stay abreast of what's going on, okay? Senior Houthi officials are in Tehran at the moment. This is like all, if you know this, whether in the situation in the Ukraine's not getting any better. I don't want to be a doom and gloomer, and it's darn right scary. And on top of that, we'll say this every time we talk about these geopolitical issues. We do not support innocent people losing their lives. We don't like this, but it's going on, and we aren't going to be in la-la land, make-believe land, and not realize it's going on. You guys have done it again. We got 100 thumbs up. I didn't even have to beg you yet. Two you so much. Let's ring the bell. This is a bell warning, and I need to move it away from the microphone because Susie, my wife, has been yelling at me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10 rings of the bell, 1 ring of the bell for each thumbs up. It's something we've done here in the basement from day one. Hey, real quickly, I want to announce, I got an announcement for you. We have a new channel sponsorship that kicked off today. Fortuna Silver Mines. It's a stock that I've owned for years and years. I've told you guys every time, the only way that I'll accept a sponsorship is either from a product or a stock company that I've owned myself. Check out Fortuna on the New York Stock Exchange. The symbol is FSM. I'm not giving financial advice, but I will tell you it's a company that I've owned for a long time. There's a lot I like about them. You'll hear more about them in the coming months, okay? But one of the big things I really like about Fortuna is their CEO, Jorge Ganoza. I think he is one of the best and a guy who has consistently delivered on promises that he's made. Fortuna Silver Mines, welcome to the basement, and thank you for the sponsorship. They make videos like this possible, guys. So please, if you get a chance, just check out Fortuna, fortunasilver.com. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the banks. Let's talk about banks. This is crazy. I'm going to show you. I know. I'm becoming a very regular shower. I've got something I want to show you that is shocking. Visually shocking. Okay, so if you don't want to see something visually shocking, okay, and it's not anything with human body related, don't worry about that. We run a clean show here in the basement, but visually shocking. U.S. bank failures each year. Make sure you're sitting down for this, okay? This is a chart, and I'm going to show it to you. Don't worry. Don't worry. You're going to get to see it. This is financial world. I don't want to use the P word, but anyway. U.S. bank failures each year, starting in 2003 through 2023. Are you ready for this? Okay, are you ready? Here. Okay. This are the number of banks that failed in 2003. Almost none. Remember the great financial crisis? Look at all those banks that failed, right? What is it? 500 billion worth of bank failures. The great financial crisis, right? And then it kind of tapered off. This, my friends, was last year. Even more. 2023. We had 3 of the 4 largest bank failures in the history of the country. I'm going to tell you why this is a big deal and why banking is a big potential powder keg for 2024. But yes, we had Signature Bank, Silicon Valley Bank, and First Republic Bank, all over 500 billion. We had more bank failures last year than the worst year of the financial crisis. Here's why it's a big deal. I did some research for you, basement dwellers, right? And then I'm going to tell you what this banking insider shared with me. I'll have a sip of coffee before things get really interesting. Okay. So you know the banks had problems. We know, we've been talking about this lately, right? BTFD, the Bank Term Funding Program. It was a little secret program put out by the Fed. Not secret, but not like really publicly announced. And they did this. This is the hilarious part. When you read on the Fed's website, they did this for the well-being of households and businesses in the United States. They set up a bailout fund, basically, that allowed the big banks that were having trouble. Otherwise, you think this was bad, right? Right? Last year, if the Fed hadn't come in, that chart would be up on the first floor of my house. Because the Fed started an emergency program called the Bank Term Funding Program that allowed the banks to cash in all their cruddy investments and get the full face value of them back. All right, we've talked about that already. Here's what's interesting. I did a little digging. March 11th, which would be what? January, February, 2.5 months. Yes, I have a degree in accounting, and yes, I use my fingers and sometimes my toes for counting. Anyway, I'll tell you a funny story. I have fancy college, I worked for Deloitte and Touche, right? I can do charts, I can do fancy talk, but I like doing basement talk with people like you. So please, come back, right? We'll make sense of all this. We'll synthesize all this, but you need to subscribe to the channel because we're trying to get to 34,000 subscribers by Valentine's Day. And if we don't get there, it's going to break my little heart. So please give this a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel and make sure that you press the bell so you get notified every time I put out a new video. The BTFD on March 11th will go bye-bye. Now, what do you think would happen if the Fed stops bailing out the banks, right, and giving them money, saying, "Okay, Mr. Banker, I know, your bond investment you made is down 35%. We'll let you give us that bond, and we'll give you the full face value back." If the Fed stops that, at the same time that the reverse repo situation could be coming to a head, the reverse repo balance could be has been dwindling. We could have another March or April major banking issue. Okay, now let's get into this. Hold on here. So I talked to a bank insider. Are you interested to hear what a bank insider, right? And again, this guy worked at one of the big name brand banks, a couple of them actually, right? The big ones, right? I'm not going to say which ones. He worked at a couple regional banks. Now he's at a more local bank. And I called him this morning to wish him Happy New Year. And I said, "What do you think's going on in the banking industry?" And you know what he said to me? He said, "I think it's very strong. I think it's doing great. I think after the great financial crisis, they changed a lot of the regulations, blah, blah, blah." And I'm thinking, what? Like, this isn't going to help me on my live stream because I don't think it's doing great. But then he brought up some very interesting points. He said commercial real estate, and this guy is in the banking sector, is a big, big problem. He talked about them in the coming year to 2 year, a lot of these banks needing to write down their commercial real estate portfolios by 25 to 30%. And I'm like, well, is the Fed going to start another program? The commercial real estate term, the CTFP, the commercial real estate term funding program, right? Oh, we know you loaned a bunch of money on this office building that you thought was worth $100 million, and now it's only worth $65 million. you will take it off your hand. The Fed's going to become a commercial real estate landlord. I mean, is that what's going to happen? I don't know. Here's the one, though, that he mentioned that nobody really talks about. What about residential real estate? The real estate market is frozen right now. Wherever you live, it's probably pretty cold. But I'm telling you, even if you're in a warm climate, we have seen a complete standstill in the residential real estate market. Okay? Think about it. Nobody can sell because they can't get, everybody's trapped, right? People don't have any money. It's all tapped out. Mr. Banker said that this morning. He mentioned that as well. Like, well, everybody spent through their COVID savings. Everybody's racked up their credit card debts. What if the residential, I'm asking you this question, right? We know commercial real estate is a cluster bomb. What about residential real estate? What happens if the residential real estate market pulls back by 20 or 25%? What if people are losing their jobs out there, which a lot of the top, and we're going to talk about what Jimmy Rogers said later, are seeing in terms of how the economy's slowing down. What if people are losing their jobs? What if residential real estate pulls back by 20? Commercial real estate. I mean, what do the banks have their money in? Commercial real estate, residential real estate, and what else? Bonds, right? We know in all three of those things. It's the trifecta of trouble, potentially, for the banking sector. We already know commercial real estate is a cluster bomb. Residential real estate could potentially, I don't know, right? We don't know. Who knows, right? Could become a cluster bomb easily. Is this why Jerome Powell a couple of weeks ago suddenly started talking about printing more money, essentially? Okay. Commercial real estate, trouble. Residential real estate, trouble. And we know the treasuries are already trouble. The banks are in big trouble. I was like, well, thank you. Okay, I'll call him Mr. A for talking to me. But after talking to him, yeah, sure, great. They changed some regulations in 2007, but the banks are in trouble. But what's the now take a step back, right? Let's Andy Schechtman talks about how, you take all the little crumbs and you piece it together. And I'm not speaking for Andy Schechtman right now because I haven't talked to him about this. But you take all the crumbs, you take the commercial real estate crumb, it's a rotten crumb. You take the residential real estate crumb, it sure is starting to smell rotten. And you take the treasury market crumb, it is rotten, and it's facing a situation. If this BTFD program goes bye-bye on March 11th, you got a trifecta of trouble. But what's the elixir, if that's the right word? You ever use a word and you're not sure it's the right word? What's the medicine for saving all that? I'll tell you what it is. And what does that mean to your silver? What does this mean to your gold? When the Fed can fix all those problems with one little push of the button, they can turn the printer back on. Thank you, Jim, for that super chat. Hold on a second here. For the basement bank. Wow, $5. That's awesome. Thank you, Jim. What saves the banks? What saves everything? What makes the United States debt more manageable? Printing more money. Devaluing the currency. I'm telling you, if you don't have, this is just my opinion, I have to remind you guys, I don't give financial advice, right? I can be dead wrong. Ask Susie, my wife, she'll tell you I'm wrong, you're wrong. There was something yesterday where she said I was right. I should write those things down. Anyway, if you don't have, in my opinion, you need to make up your own mind. But for me, if you don't have some or a portion of your wealth in real assets, land, gold, silver, barrels of oil, sacks of wheat, sacks of rice, I don't know, anything that's real, right? What are some other real things? Bulldozers are real, right? I mean, who knows? They could be useful in the future. Anything that's real assets, okay? Commodities of some type or precious metals. The only option, think about the banks, right? The trifecta, big trouble. Think about what's going on with the national debt. The only way they can manage the debt we have, sorry, Joe, okay, it's not working. It's not working. The only way that they can manage the big debt is by devaluing the currency, making the currency worth less. You want another way to say it? By diluting the currency, by printing money, whatever you want to call it, in all of those things, okay? No matter how you slice it or dice it, in real terms, real, not nominal. There's a big difference between nominal and real. Real terms are good for the value of gold and silver and other commodities as well. Because guess what? There's only so much gold, there's only so much silver. So when they devalue the currency, and do they have a record of doing that, folks? It's a new year. Let's take a new look at it. Do we see any indication? Do we see any indication over the last number of years, the last 3 years, the last 5 years? Ask yourself this. The last 10 years? Many of you are my age. I'm 53. Okay? I look back 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Remember when you were 10 years old? How much do we know of a history of the value of paper money becoming less valuable? Not worthless, right? Worth less. Not worth less, worthless. Essentially worthless. Yes, we do. So as we put all these pieces together and think about what's to come, it becomes very, very clear, right? It becomes very clear that one of the solutions, one of the things that could very likely help protect your wealth, protect your family, are precious metals. Oh my gosh, we got the 200 thumbs up. I haven't even had to beg today. Remember, when we get to 500 people on this live stream, I will ring the gong. Where is it? The golden gong? There it is. A fan favorite. But let's do the cowbell because we got the 200 thumbs up. Susie's been yelling at me. I'm ringing it too close to the microphone. I'm sorry. Sorry, Susie. Is old dirty bastard garage here today? Let's ring the bell. Oh, gosh darn it. I owe you guys a big apology, and I know Susie's going to have something else to be mad at me about today. You know what it's like being married or if you're in a relationship. I forgot to put the Happy New Year hats on the bears. Do you guys want me to put a Happy New Year hat on 3 of the bears? It would take me about 2 minutes, and you would have to see if or if not I'm actually wearing pants today. Let me know in the comments. Coin Shop Chris can send me a virtual ding dong. So that's what's going on. Doom in the banks. You got that right. There's doom. There's a trifecta. Commercial real estate, residential real estate, and the treasuries. What else do the banks have there? Your money. Remember, it's your money the banks invested so poorly. But that's okay, Mr. Banker. You know what, Mr. Banker? When he's sleeping, there's a bank by my house. I'm not going to name the name of it. Thank you. Amazing World PC. Okay, my friend, I will. I'll get up here and get 3 New Year's hats because we do want to have fun here in the basement. But I got a bank down the road from me here. Not the bank that I go to, a different bank. But I went in there for something. This was like 15 years ago, and I walked in, and I walked by the president of the bank's office, and he was in there. I thought he was dead, but he was passed out sleeping. Do you think Mr. Banker cares? Just ask yourself this question. You gave them all your money, right? Because that's the safe thing to do is put your money in the bank. That's what my mom and dad told me. That's what the grandpa told me. That's what the government told us. That it's safe to have all our money in the bank. It's FDIC insured, FDIC, even though they can only cover like 1% of the deposits, but that's a whole different story. Do you think Mr. Banker cares, right, that he's lost a lot of your money, right, in treasuries, commercial real estate, and potentially residential real estate loans? No, he doesn't care because he remembers. He remembers back to 2007 and 2008. When there was trouble, they got bailed out and they got record bonuses and nobody went to jail. Are you kidding me? All right, let me get those hats. Don't leave. I'm going to put Happy New Year hats on at least 3 of the bears. This will take less than a minute. You count. Here, I'll start the timer. The 2-minute Coin Shop Chris timer. Here we go. Yeah. There we go. Happy New Year, guys. Did it take? Oh, yeah, look at that. That hardly took any time at all. That's the timer I use when I'm interviewing the legendary Coin Shop Chris. If he starts talking too much, because it's my job to talk too much. We love Coin Shop Chris. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for being here this morning. Let's talk about what the legend Jim Rogers had to say. He was on with Adam Taggart. He has that new channel called Thoughtful Money. Very thoughtful. And I love Jim Rogers. Do you love Jim Rogers? Do you know who Jim Rogers is? If you love Jim Rogers, and this guy's, he's cool, man. Like he's not selling anything. He doesn't have any, he's just a smart guy. He worked with, I think with George Soros or something, like made those like big money. He's like traveled around the world on a motorcycle. Anyway, if you like Jim, type Jim. I also like my friend Jim, right? From the Weber Bear. We'll talk more about the Weber Bear later in the year. Good old Weber. Weber Seasonings. Okay. Jim. Original Intent. Yes, both those guys are great. Here's what Jim, you don't have to watch the whole, well, you can, and I like Thoughtful Money, but I'll give you my nutshell. We synthesize things, okay? Okay? 2008, think about this. 2008, the financial crisis. This, let's pull this sucker out again. This, right? When we had all those banks, we had more this year, but when we had all those banks go belly up, and those bankers that were sleeping in their office, they didn't get in any trouble. 2008 was a problem. Why? Because of too much debt. Think about this. What does that tell us about what's going on right now? Jim Rogers said, look out the window. I did some digging. And from what I could see, we had about 10 trillion in debt in 2006, 2007. Okay. Now it's what? 3.5 times more? Okay. So this is what we're heading into, and we talked about what's going on in the world. We know what's going on in the U.S. economy. Okay. That's where we're sitting now, heading into that trifecta of potential banking troubles. Potential, okay? In terms of the market, in terms of the overall stock market, the S&P 500, which is really now the S&P 7 because of the, what are they calling them? Magnificent Seven, right? Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, all these companies that have like very little assets relative to their market cap anyway, that we've never been through such a long period of time without a serious market problem. So are we headed towards a stock market crash? I don't know, right? Good question. But likely what usually happens and what could be happening right now, especially what's happened over the last 6-8 weeks, is a melt up into a major market event, okay? The exponential growth of debt, right? We had 10 trillion going into the great financial crisis, right? And now, think about this. Now we've got all this debt, okay? Joe Biden racked up the debt because he wanted to make the economy look good. It's great, too. Isn't it a great economy? Anybody who wants a job, right, who wants to work for a little bit of money to buy products that are now significantly higher. There's all kinds of jobs out there, but Joe, borrowed into oblivion so that you could get one of these great second or third jobs. Yeah, right. America. You don't just get to get one job. It's the American dream. You can have 3 jobs. And if you got a spouse together, you can have 6 jobs. It's really great. And then, maybe you can afford a little cracker box house in 1 car. Yeah, welcome to the new America. But that's done with all this debt. Okay. And right now, it's happened at a time when the world is moving away from the dollar. Remember at the very beginning, we talked about the BRICS, the BRICS Plus now, right? They added Iran, they added United Arab Emirates, they added Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia, and Egypt to the already list of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. They're all moving, they're de-dollarizing. And right at a time when Uncle Sam, but we got Janet Yellen. We could send Janet Yellen over there and say, we really would appreciate it if you bought some of our treasuries. All that money they're selling treasuries is coming home. That could create, we're in a little deflationary period right now where prices are stabilized, prices are going down. But I'm telling you, the table is set. I don't know if you, like Susie likes to have, we had Thanksgiving here at the house. We had a party last night at the house. When my mom and dad come over, Susie sets the table, right? It's really pretty. It's beautiful, our dining room table. And that's what's going on as we head into 2024 for massive inflation. That's my opinion. Jim Rogers didn't say that. Where's the easy money right now? Really nowhere, right? I think, if you're making 4% in a money market account, you're probably doing pretty good because I think we are in a little deflationary. The deflation window's barely been open. The Fed's not going to stand. This is interesting. He brought up, I want you to think about this. The United States has had like 3 central banks now. We don't realize that. We think, we got central bank and Gomer Powell. Surprise, surprise, surprise. We got Jerome Powell. I'm sorry, Gomer Powell is that show with Sergeant Carter. We got Jerome Powell at the United States Federal Reserve, but we don't realize we've had like 3 different central banks in this country. The world has had different central banks, okay? They don't know what they are doing. Well, they know what they're doing. They're sticking it to the average everyday person, not just in the United States, but all around the world. So they do know what they are doing, right? But they don't really know what they are doing. And they aren't as in control as most people give them credit for being. And Jim Rogers said this, right? That you got to figure out what's going on your own. He talked about Japan. Like he's like, these are smart people in Japan. Japan's worse than the United States. They print money to buy their own debt. I mean, it's unbelievable. Only thing they can do, these central banks right now, because of all the debt in the world, the only way out, I'm going to go on a limb, right? Because I usually talk about two options, depression or option 2. And I think that to me, it's like there's a 98% chance that option 2 is going to happen. Guys, the only way that they can pay off that debt is to devalue the currency, okay? To print more money. It's gotten to that point, right? There's like a 98% chance that when a country goes beyond 130% debt to GDP ratio, that they go broke. The only thing they can do, Lynette Zhang talks about it. Okay, we're at the critical juncture. It feels like, and I know, a lot of these people have talked about it for years and years. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're not at the critical juncture. Maybe Jerome's got a few more buttons he can push, but it sure feels like we are at a critical juncture. Okay, let's get some more thumbs up because I really, I'm going to beg you, basement dwellers. It's a big honor that you're here. I appreciate it. All 450 people on New Year's Day, thank you. But I need you to do me a favor because we want to ring the golden gong right there. Please give this a thumbs up. We're at 252. I'll stick around till we get to 300 thumbs up. It'll be our first accomplishment of 2024. We got more to talk about. Excuse me. We got more to talk about. We got a lot more to talk about. But first, let's say thank you and let's look forward to a great 2024 with channel sponsor Pimbex. Look, these two sponsors, Fortuna and Pimbex, they make the basement possible. Pimbex is an online bullion dealer. Pimbex, Pimbex.com. If you want to get your hands on some silver or gold, there's a lot of it out there right now. I don't think that'll be the case in the future. I could be wrong, but if you want to protect some assets with silver and gold, platinum, go check out Pimbex. They've got great selection, great service. I trust them. I was a customer before they sponsored Ron's Basement. And there's one more thing that's real important. What do you think it is when you're buying silver or gold? You want to get the most metal for your money. I find Pimbex always has the best prices. These products are the same, right? 100-ounce silver bar from the Royal Canadian Mint, whether you buy it from the Royal Canadian Mint, whether you buy it from your local coin shop, whether you buy it from one of the big name brand online bullion dealers, or you buy it from Pimbex, it's the same 100 ounces of silver. And oftentimes what I found is that you can save hundreds of dollars buying from Pimbex, money that you can put towards, I don't know, super chats? No, I'm just joking. Put it towards getting more metal for yourself. You know, we did a comparison on the 100-ounce Royal Canadian Mint bar about 5-6 weeks ago, Coin Shop Chris and I, and there was like a $300, $200 price difference. You can get yourself another 10 ounces of silver. Why not get the Royal Canadian Mint bar and 10 free bonus ounces of silver? That's just my opinion. You do your own due diligence. Thank you, Pimbex, for sponsoring Ron's Basement. Now, look at it. Okay, let's look at this. Let's look at what's going on in Argentina. Okay, with Argentina has the price of silver absolutely skyrocketed in Argentina. And this is nothing. This is not even updated. This was from 2014 through to not today, through November. The price of silver in Argentina, because of financial mismanagement, because of many similar things to what's going on right now in the United States, the price of silver would have cost you in November of 2013, 122 Argentinian pesos. Okay, that's their currency. It's like the U.S. dollar is, or the Canadian dollar, or the Australian dollar, or the Japanese yen. But in Argentine pesos, in November of 2013, 122 pesos. 10 years later to the day, that same 1 ounce of silver went from 122 pesos all the way to 8,700 pesos. Right? There it is. Oh, and guess what? Just a few weeks ago, it went from 8,700 pesos all the way to like 20,000 pesos. Somebody Google it and tell me what the current price is in pesos. Why did that happen? Because of financial mismanagement, because of the laws of mathematics. Same thing going on here in the United States, but they elected a new president, Millau. He's an old soccer player. Okay, he was a goalie. I played Division I soccer on an athletic scholarship in college. I was not a goalie, but it was always kind of common knowledge in the world of soccer that the goalies were a little crazy. Not all of them, but a lot of them. They were the more eclectic of the bunch, let's say. Nonetheless, this guy was a professional soccer player in Argentina. He was a goalie, and he's very radical. He's trying to do, and Jim Rogers talked about this as well, he's trying to right the ship. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I'm kind of glad the holidays are over, but don't tell anybody. Anyway, they were great. Okay, I'm just saying, I'm kind of glad the holidays are over. Don't hold it against me. Crazy guy running Argentina. He's so crazy that he's trying to make some tough decisions for the country. Things that we hear about that could possibly happen in the United States. Let's get to those 300 thumbs up. I'm counting on you, basement dwellers. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out in Argentina. It's not the first time they've tried to do this, but he's laying off thousands of government workers. He's making tough decisions, right, to try to right the ship in Argentina. Could we see That's what we want to talk about when we talk about the silver price and the gold price. Could we see a situation if the world, if the BRICS and those 5 other new countries and the world continues to de-dollarize? We know the petrodollar is going away. Okay. Do you know what the petrodollar is? Right. That means that since 1974, when Henry Kissinger went to Saudi Arabia and highly recommended that they only sell oil in dollars, that all the oil in the world was traded in dollars. The dollar went from being backed by gold. And then when President Nixon temporarily took us off the gold standard in 1971, it quickly then turned to being backed by oil, which then forced people to buy dollars and then forced people who were selling oil, which is the lifeblood of the world economy, to buy U.S. debt. It enabled me and you and our parents, right? Everybody that's been in America for the last 40, 50 years to live beyond our means. And now the world is saying, no, thank you. No, thank you. We're going to sell oil in whatever currency we want to sell it in. Remember when Joe Biden went to Saudi Arabia back over the summer and they kind of snubbed him and said, bye-bye, Joe. See you later. Okay. And then they had the Russian president, Putin, and they had President Xi from China, and they had big parties when they arrived. That's because the world is changing and the world is moving away from the dollar, right? Again, we get the table is set for massive inflation in 2024. That's it could be the perfect storm for the silver price and the gold price, because when that inflation hits, okay, and the devaluation of the dollar continues, that alone could be massively supported. This is what happened in the 1970s. Remember the S word, stagflation, when silver went up, 17 times, not 17%, guys, like 17 times. Actually, I think much, much more, but I'm going to try to be conservative because I don't want to be accused of being a silver pumper. You know, who were silver pumpers in 1970? I wonder if there were. Was the internet around? No. But you're a silver pumper, Ron. That's fine. Yes, I am. I believe in the future of silver. I believe in the future of gold. Do you believe in the future of silver and gold? If you believe in the future of silver and gold, SG. It's the last time I'll ask you to type anything. Hello, my friend, Sassy Silver. Yeah, we're going to get to the gong, Sassy. I'll sit down here till 2025 if I have to. We need 5 more thumbs up. That's why the table is set. And that's why, last night we had some friends over. This has to do with silver. And they were talking about they just got a membership to the Costco. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I've never been to Costco, but we talk about Costco a lot. And I was like, Costco's selling silver. I was like, do you realize that? These are neighbors that I absolutely love, think very highly of, great friends. And he pulled out his thing and typed it in, and a silver casket came up, and they were laughing. I'm like, no, they're actually selling silver at Costco. And let me tell you something, guys. American Silver Eagles by the tube. All right. But he couldn't find it. And I didn't want to go down the silver and gold road because most people don't want to talk about silver and gold. We know that. That's cool. We got 300 thumbs up. I am going to ring the gong here in just 1 second. But I'm telling you, this table is set for 2024 for big inflation. When this next wave of inflation hits, and it's going to be like a tsunami, people are going to freak. Okay. They're going to freak alone because of the inflationary pressures that are out there. They're going to freak, number 2, right? Because they're going to be like, what am I going to do? They already got their hand burned on the stove, most of them for the first time. A lot of people are like me around my age, never really had experienced bad inflation before until what we had in 2021, 2022. More and more people, the Costco crew, that's who we'll welcome first. Those type people, average, everyday, upper middle class Americans who are going to be like, oh my God, I got to do something because this is not working. The dollar, it's really going to sink in, right? It's really going to sink in this time, and people aren't going to take it. People are going to be freaking. The table's set for a big 2024. Let's ring the gong. This is a gong warning. For those of you who don't like gongs, give me 1 second. I don't know why. Sorry you heard my kids jumping upstairs. It's very interesting to me when you hit that, the way it keeps ringing for a while. I guess it's vibration. I don't know. We're always at war. That's the last thing Jim Rogers had to say. We seem to always be at war. And again, we'll circle back to what we talked about at the beginning of the show. Let's pull this all together. War is very expensive. War is also, geopolitical uncertainty, good for the precious metals. Are we having geopolitical uncertainty right now? We have a proxy war in Europe with Russia, right? And Russia is aligned with China and India and Iran. Okay, so are we having war right now? Yes, we are. We having war in the Middle East, which appears to be potentially a big powder keg situation? Yes, we are. Is this all happening at a time when the world is moving away from the dollar, which could ship unbelievable amounts of dollars back to the United States? Yes. Is this happening at a time when we have banks that are facing a possible trifecta of major issues right now, correct? Commercial real estate? I mean, we've been talking about this. What city do you live in? Right? I know here in St. Louis, I'm reading about buildings that were bought 5 years ago in downtown St. Louis that are selling today for like 60, 50, 65, 70% of what they sold for just 4, 5, 8 years ago. We know that example we had last week about Los Angeles, the third tallest building in Los Angeles. It sold for like half of what it had sold for in 2014, I think it was, 10 years ago. So banks are facing commercial real estate, potential residential real estate. We'll see how this frozen residential real estate market, how it resolves itself. It'll be very interesting. What do you think? Where do you think we're going to be sitting 1 year from now in terms of the value of our homes? St. Louis is kind of conservative. We don't go crazy like a lot of places in the country. But nonetheless, I got a feeling on the first day of 2025, man, it's going to be a crazy year. Where do you think we're going to be? Where do you think the value of your house will be? Will it be a lot more or a lot less? And a lot depends on how the Fed reacts when they freak. It could be more, okay? It could, right? The Fed's got to print, okay? On top of that, the third thing affecting the banks are these treasuries. And on March 11, the BTFD, somebody needs to call up Gomer Pyle and tell him he might need to extend the BTFD, the Bank Term Funding Program, where the banks can throw all their cruddy investments they made to the Fed and get their full face value back. It's going to be super, super interesting. Are we the next Argentina? Could we see silver go up 17 times in value in the next 10 years? Right? We could. Don't forget, guys, it happened before. And that's truth. That happened in the 1970s when we faced a stagflationary period like we are likely going to face. What is stagflation? It's the S word. You long-term basement dwellers know a lot of the different words. The C word, which stands for confluence, and the S word, which is stagflation, a stagnant economy with inflation. We still have inflation right now in this country. The official numbers from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics that is higher than the Fed's target 2% level. They're on an official level higher than that. On a real level, like shadow stats measures, if you measure inflation like they did in the 1970s, they say that it's like 10% still, 8%, whatever their most recent number is. I think we're hitting the brakes have been slammed on. They're locked on like a freight train. You know, here's a great analogy. During the C-19 crisis, the Fed printed 40% of the U.S. dollars ever in existence. It's like an old steam train. They piled all the coal they could into the boiler and the train is just flying down the tracks. And right now, the brakes are on. You've seen that, right? Right? And the Fed's going to really freak and most very likely liquidate more, devalue. The only way out without causing pain for the top 1 or 2% of 10% of the country, the only way out is to press the magic Jerome button. Remember, Jerome's in his fun house, running the fun house, and he's got his big control panel. And he's got his finger. What we heard 3 weeks ago is he moved his little finger, a little closer to the print money button. And when he presses it, oh man, it's like the whole room is ready for this inflation spike. So it's, who knows? I could be wrong, right? Don't make any financial decisions based on anything that I said today, but I'm telling you my truth. I'm always interested in hearing your truth. I'm always very interested in having you come back to the basement. Let's have a great 2024. It's going to be very interesting. Choppy waters ahead, but we'll make it, and we'll make it together. I'll see you soon. Thank you.